Recording in progress.
Hello, good morning, sir. Hope I am audible and visible to you.
Hi, Onila. Hello.
Hi, so I'm the moderator for the day. So if you're ready, we can start the session, sir.
Can you just give me a minute or two, if you don't mind, please?
Sure.
Just getting my slides simply. Just a moment.
Sure.
Okay, Onila, I'm ready to go.
All right. So hello, everyone. A very good morning to all of you. Welcome back to the UPSURGE webinar series, which is organized and conducted by the Student Circle of Economics and Decision Sciences, along with the Department of Economics and Decision Sciences in NSBM. I warmly welcome all of you to the Chapter 16 of UPSURGE webinar series. First of all, I would like to make a special note to all our participants today. Please note that each and every one of you will be entitled to a valuable certificate at the end of this session, which is offered by SCET and ISE Squared Colombo Chapter, Sri Lanka. This will be an e-certificate, and to be entitled for this, it is a must that you fill out the Google form and you should remain in the session until the very end. One of our SCET members will be sending you all a link to the Google form at some point to the chat box, in which you will have to enter your name in the form of which you need your name to appear in the certificate and your personal email address. Please be on alert. The link could appear in the chat box at any time. So before moving on to the topic for the day, I would like to make this an opportunity to introduce you all the guest speaker for the day. He is a governance, risk, and compliance professional. He is a passionate cybersecurity adoption evangelist, providing vital guidance to improve the cyber defenses whilst raising cybersecurity awareness to improve risk reduction and improve compliance. He currently serves as the Chief Information Security Officer and Cybersecurity Advisor in several organizations. He is a director with Layer 7 Seguro Consultoria Private Limited, and he is the president of the ISE Squared Colombo Chapter, Sri Lanka. He also serves as an advisory board member at Cybersecurity Center of Excellence. He is a certified information system security professional, certified information systems auditor, certified in risk and information system control, certified data privacy solutions engineer, a certified IT disaster recovery professional, and holds a diploma in cyber law. He counts over 20 years of experience in governance, risk, compliance, and assurance. He specializes in cybersecurity covering risk management, consulting, assurance, IT governance, privacy, vendor evaluation, product evaluation, compliance, and awareness. He has worked with KPMG in New Zealand, Singapore, and Sri Lanka. He is a regular invited speaker and panelist in cybersecurity conferences, seminars, and webinars. He is a resource person at the Center for Banking Studies at Central Bank of Sri Lanka. He is also a past visiting lecturer at the Department of Criminology, University of Madras, India, and the General Sir John Kotalawala Defense University, Sri Lanka. He is the founding member, the Charter Secretary, and past president of ISE Squared Chennai Chapter, India, which was the first ISE Squared chapter to be formed in India in 2020. He also facilitated the formation of the ISE Squared chapter in Sri Lanka in 2012. He is the president of Information Security Professional Associates. He was instrumental in organizing the first CISSP exam in Sri Lanka through Information Security Professionals Associates in 2006. He is a past supervisor for the ISE Squared Credentials exams in India and Sri Lanka. He is a volunteer with the Center for Cyber Safety and Education, formerly known as ISE Squared Foundation. He pioneered the delivery of safe and secure online programs in India and Sri Lanka. He is the recipient of the 2013 ISE Squared President's Award, now known as the CEO's Award, and was the first person to receive this award in the SAARC region, and ISE Squared Honoree in the Information Security Practitioner category for Information Security Leadership Achievements in the Asia-Pacific region. And if anybody is willing to get to know more about our guest speaker, you can always visit his LinkedIn profile for more information. So we would warmly welcome our guest speaker for the day, Mr. Suchet Christie, the president of ISE Squared Colombo Chapter, Sri Lanka, for the Chapter 16 of UPSURGE. Welcome, you, sir.
Thank you, Anila. I'm touched by your warm introduction. Thank you so much. I'm also thankful to you. And let me get this right. I'm in the Student Circle of Economics and Decision Sciences. Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this UPSURGE Chapter 16. It's indeed an honor and also I would say an opportunity to talk to the future professionals who would be entering the workforce very soon. Right. So the subject I've chosen, and I think it went through a lot of deliberation before before all of us could agree on the topic. Uh, you all being commerce and economics students, the question which was asked, what relevance does the internet hold for you? How relevant is it? How relevant is the web of profit for all of you? So the view I want to present to you is today organizations are talking about digital transformation. Every business is digitized or transforming their business to be in the digital world. And today we are talking about from a simple e-commerce website to transforming the whole supply chain to manufacturing. So we are talking about Industrial 4.0. Even I think our president, the Honorable President Ranil Wickremesinghe also keeps talking about the Industry 4.0. That's the world we are in. So there is a lot of automation and there's a lot of technology adoption in every sphere of organization. And the world's commerce or economy is also powered by use of technology. Look at Apple, look at Amazon. Where were they 20 years ago, 30 years ago? Today, every software company is a Fortune 10 company. If you're not a software company or if your business is not adopting technology, you may not be able to sustain yourself or compete in the global arena. Right. So looking at the thing, Onila, just a quick check. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir, we can see your screen.
So just a few words about ISC Squared Colombo chapter. We're part of the global professional body ISC Squared, which awards the gold standard cybersecurity certifications across the world. Right, the one and only professional body which provides cybersecurity certifications. Right? So CISSP is world renowned, and right now there are over 200 Sri Lankans who have acquired these certifications, and over 50% of them are living overseas. Today, the job market, the demand for security professionals globally is about 3 million vacant positions. 3 million. We don't have people. There's several specialities or specialist areas where we are looking for people. And our vision, our objective is to promote safe and secure cyber world. We want people to pursue a career in security. And a lot of time people think that you got to be an IT professional to be a cybersecurity professional. Not necessarily. We need people who have business knowledge, economics. You need to understand economics to understand how the world functions, how commerce works. And you might also be surprised if I told you we need statisticians, we need mathematicians, because you've got to do your computation, risk computations. You need geologists, people who are familiar with geography. You need historians. You need to understand how countries have evolved, how countries have transformed. Look at Sri Lanka, for instance. We have a rich heritage of history. And being geographically, strategically positioned geographically, the whole world has an eye on Sri Lanka. Today we talk about geopolitics. For me, geopolitics existed even centuries ago. How many countries invaded and ruled over Sri Lankans? Continues to prevail, isn't it? for economic and commercial reasons. So as a chapter, we conduct various awareness programs. We help people pursue certifications. We do have mentoring programs. So we would like to encourage all of you to consider participating in all our events. We also welcome you to become members. We do not charge a membership fee for students. So that's a bonus for you, right? And that should motivate you to be part of our initiatives and chapter. So I'm going to talk about crime. And all of you all are familiar with the word crime. Today we think of crime when there is a murder or a theft. That's the first thing which comes to our mind. When somebody says it's a crime scene, these are the two things which come to our mind. And what we really don't see is how people use technology to deceive people, deceive organizations. Look at those numbers. The cost of cybercrime this year, it's estimated to be over 7 trillion US dollars. Now talk about economics. Now talk about commerce. That's the amount of money businesses are losing globally. And look at the growth rate, 15% year on year. And by 2025, this is going to reach over 10 trillion US dollars. Just imagine what we can do with that money as a country, given the current context. I'm not saying crime is a way to approach, but I'm saying that's the amount of money people are losing. Even Sri Lankans are losing this money. We may not have a structured way of capturing the losses because there is no mandate for people to report, or there is no centralized manner in which you can actually compute the losses incurred by the businesses. But Sri Lankan businesses are losing money. Individuals are losing money as well. And recently you would have seen in the news that there was a Sri Lankan and a foreign national who were involved in running a Bitcoin racket. And lots of people lost their money. You can add that to this list. And if we measure this amount of money in terms of global economies, the cybercrime alone will be the third largest economy in the world, followed by, following US, China, and maybe some of the other economies. So you can just imagine the amount of money which is actually going into the crime scene. How does it interest you and me? There are several aspects, but one specific area I would like to focus is identity, your identity. Now today, if you lose the key, you will know that you lost the key. If you lose your money or lose your wallet, you would know that you lost your wallet. But when you lose your identity, you wouldn't know that you lost it. So what is your identity? Anything which can identify you or which can help locate you, help contact you, or communicate with you, all these characteristics put together will form an identity. So your name, first name, your last name, your family name, your telephone number, your email, your physical address, your IP address, the likes you hit on your Facebook posts, the comments you make, all of them, when you put them together, it creates a persona, and that's your identity. And today, it is not that too hard to create an identity in the social media platform. Right? All what we need is a photograph and a name. And I see Onella Mudalinge on screen, a picture and a name, and you're up and running on the social media platform. And all your friends will think it is you, but it is somebody else who is handling you. I'm sure you have come across such situations. amongst your friends, or you probably heard somebody talking about it, that it has happened to somebody else. It's prevalent in Sri Lanka. It is increasing. So what do we do to protect ourselves? What are we doing to address that situation? Is that something you need to worry about? Yes, definitely. You need to worry about how you manage your information, your personal information. How do you share your information? With whom do you share that information? Now, one of the things which I want you to do, right? An action item after this session is for you to go and check your social media profiles. Right? All of us are active, right? Either on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and there are other platforms as well. How much information are you sharing without your knowledge? So I want you to go do that check today. And I guarantee you, you will definitely do that by the time I finish this session, right? In the next 30 minutes or while I'm doing the session, you'll start doing it, right? Some of those things which I'm going to share might baffle you a little bit, but I'm sure you will do that for your own safety, your friend's safety, and your family's safety as well. So look at the privacy settings, see what information can be seen by strangers, people who you do not know. Right? This applies to boys, girls, men, women, children, everyone. The criminals do not discriminate. They treat you all on par. Any information they can get hold of, they will make money out of it. So how do they steal information? They use a technique called social engineering. They may come and say hi to you on a chat, on a social media platform. And you look to see who it is. It's not your friend. You see an image, very appealing, very nice. So you think, okay, looks a very innocent picture. You say hi, then they don't communicate for a few days, come back and then start conversation. And then they start talking about something which you're probably vocal about it in your social media platforms, or something which you're sharing about, right? So they'll try and connect to you emotionally. You don't have to go very far. Get onto your Twitter, look at the tweets which people tweet. Sometimes I am amazed that, people are sharing personal, confidential, private information in a platform. Now, if I went and spoke to my grandparents who are no longer living, or if I talk to my parents now and tell them that, can I have a look at your diary? They will scream. Everything what they wrote in a diary is for their personal use. Today, everything what we consider should be in your personal diary is written on a social media wall. Don't you agree? So, two things I want you to remember: identity and social engineering. Social engineering is befriending somebody using various techniques. It can be an email asking you to check whether you would be interested in doing something, or even an SMS or a WhatsApp message, or even a link which is forwarded to you asking, would you like to join this campaign? Let's understand how people live their minute. Does that reflect you? I'd like you to have a look at, I'm sure you're seated in front of your screens. See the amount of time people spend, or what happens in a minute. Hundred and 74,000 apps are downloaded in a minute. This is as of January 2022. 231 emails sent. 16.2 million text messages are sent, right? And YouTube videos watching, 3.67 million. people watch YouTube in a minute. And let's look at something more, right? And let's see people active on Facebook. 2.1 million people are active on Facebook. So there's no scarcity of people using these platforms. And most of them are using them in an insecure manner. Right? Let's go to the next one. I'm sure all of you use a smartphone. Here's another exercise which I want you to consider. Go to Google and search keywords, malicious Android applications that were removed from the Play Store or the Apple iOS Store. Google and find out, look at the list and see whether you have any of those applications installed on your device. Let me tell you, I mean, you shouldn't get scared, but these are preventive actions which you need to take. Some of these applications have the ability to track your activities. It can read your SMS, it can read your emails. It can also precisely tell your geo positions, where you were or where you are. And in some cases, it can also listen into your conversations. Conversations you have with your friends on a call, or they can just activate and listen to your conversation without you knowing about it. And here's the last one. If they want, they can also activate the camera and see what you're up to. It reminds me of an incident which happened about just before the lockdown. Just before the lockdown, I had a friend of mine who called and said, Sujit, I have a friend of mine who wants to meet up with you. I said, sure, we can meet up, but either you come home or we meet up after business hours. He said, no, it's urgent. We need to meet immediately. I said, in that case, you please come home because I finished work around 5 o'clock. You guys can visit home and then we can have a chat. Yeah, what is this urgency? So he had got a message. His friend has received a message saying that if he did not pay $1,000, that all his pictures would be published to the friends in the contact list. I'm not sure whether you heard similar stories amongst your friends or your peers where such emails are received. So actually, I started laughing. And my friend actually got offended. He really got offended. He said, there's somebody who is actually going through a tough time and you're laughing. So I asked him, they're schoolmates, right? So they're buddies. So I had the liberty of, having a little bit of fun with them. And I asked him, so what was he up to? What mischief was he up to that he's so worried that when somebody says that they got his pictures? Then this guy paused for a moment. He said, yeah, that's a point. That's a good point. Why should he be worried? What was he up to? So I said, okay, you bring him along. So he came home and now he's not talking. So I told my kids and my wife, take a walk, go out, get some fresh air. Let me have a chat with my friends. So after they left, I asked him, sir, tell me, what did you do? And this is what he says. Every day in the morning, he goes to the washroom, he brushes his teeth, and he takes his mobile phone to the washroom and he keeps it there. And asks, what do you watch? What do you listen? He says he listens to the world news and various other things. And the next thing he says that he gets into the shower and then he turns the mobile phone in the direction where he is having a bath. Now, his worry is that somebody was able to see him having a bath while he was in the shower. So now he is worried that his pictures having a bath would get circulated in the internet amongst the people in the contact list. So I told him, don't worry. Let's give it 24 hours and see what happens. In 24 hours, there can be two things. One, this person who is threatening you, he can call you or send you a message and say, have you paid? Or in 24 hours, one of your friends are going to call and say, hey, my friend, I got your picture. So we calculated the time, and he had to just go through another few hours, 6 or 7 hours. I said 6 to 7 hours. Let's live it. Let's relax. Let's see what happens. If by 12 midnight today, nothing happens, don't worry. Even if it happens, don't worry. You can always say that it is not you. Can you picturize what I said? I'm sure you heard all these things, right? People have been victims, innocent victims. Sometimes people have been, abused. People have been, misled. Or in some cases, people have abused the trust. And lots of people are suffering inside us. I'm sure there are so many of you, or of your friends, who may be going through this. And this is what I want to tell you. If you're in a situation like that, don't worry. That's not the end of it. That's not end of life. There's much more to life. Right? So you need to take courage. You need to have confidence that you can face it. If it is anything to do with such crimes, you can talk to me, or I can even guide you to the right people to get help. You can also reach the Child Protection Authority. I think if the number is 1901, I think that's a hotline number. I mean, I'll share it with Dinesha later, and you can actually reach out. So there are people, professionals available who can counsel for you. They can give you guidance, and they can, even if, let's say, people are threatening or even trying to intimidate you, they can get the right help. So you don't have to worry. And I just want to give you that confidence, right? And if you know anyone who is actually going through this stage in their life, there is always help. So don't worry about it. So two things you need to do. One, you need to go check your apps, whatever you have. You need to look at your privacy settings. And the third one, if you do have any problems, reach out, speak up. Right? So people like us, right, like me, my colleagues, my peers who are specializing in cybersecurity, again, right, you need to be mindful. Not everybody is a security professional. For example, not everybody who is wearing a white jacket and carrying a stethoscope in the hospital is not a doctor. He or she can be a nurse, he or she can be a ward boy. But you can't mistake that person to be a doctor. Likewise, you need to check the credentials of the people who claim to be security professionals, whether they have the right professional skills certifications to consult and counsel. Right. Let's look at this one. I'm sure you are able to see. You can see surface web, deep web, and dark web. Some of you may have come across these words. But I want you to focus your attention to the dark web. Can you see the different things there? You can see drugs. You can see terrorists. You can see stalkers. Can you see stalkers there? Then you also see, just a moment. Can you just hold on for a minute, please? Sorry about that. Right. So you do see stalkers there. And then you also see political dissidents. Then you also see human trafficking. Can you see that there on the right-hand side? And people who are dealing with weapons, money laundering, drugs. So if you go to the internet, you take any browser, you will not find these that easily. What you actually are able to surf and get information is the surface web. That's where most of our information is. So the criminals operate in the dark web. And it is not easy for you to go identify them, or you can't track them, you can't see them, or you can't reach out to them. Have you heard about slavery? Onila, I'll ask you, since you're on screen, have you come across the word slavery? Have you heard about slavery?
No, no, sir.
You've not heard about slavery?
No.
Did you know that there were slaves in ancient times?
Yes.
People, right? So
Yes.
people were taken slaves to work in different places, right?
Yes.
Do you believe that it still exists? Do you believe it still exists?
No.
You don't think there is slavery in modern times?
Not that much as it was in the ancient times.
Okay, so let's find out, right? Now, I have a few pictures here. Just keep that in your mind, right? See the picture on the left. Modern day slavery. Modern slavery is closer than you think. Closer than you think. There are two parts to it: human trafficking, human smuggling. Now, most of the time, you can see people getting into a boat trying to get to Australia or to Italy. That's what we typically see it in our news, right? And the Australian High Commissioner also comes on TV ads and he says, you should not be doing that. So when we talk about smuggling, we are talking about crime against a person or crime against government and its law. So when somebody gets smuggled from Sri Lanka to Australia, let's say, they're violating the laws of Australia, meaning they become illegal migrants into that nation because they do not have the legal rights to live and work in that land. But let's look at the word trafficking. We typically hear a word, you probably come across words like drug trafficking, isn't it? But have you come across the word human trafficking? Human trafficking means, sorry, Onila, you were trying to say something. Go ahead.
No, I said that I'm not very familiar.
Not familiar, right? So like you, there are several people who are not familiar with this. What it means is people are sold repeatedly. People are sold repeatedly. There is a low risk but high profit for the person who is trading in humans. And victims are centered around crimes. I like to tell you a couple of stories to say how bad it is. Look at the value here. US 150 billion plus market value, and it is growing. And current context, right? The current context in Sri Lanka or the world over, every country is going through economic turmoil. We went through the lockdown, COVID impact. We thought we were coming out of it. And today, people are blaming it on a war. There is so much of unrest, geopolitical, right? You have tensions surrounding Taiwan and China. Then, of course, we have the conflict between Ukraine and Russia. And then you also have conflicts surrounding other borders, like if you take India, Pakistan, India, China, or North Korea and South Korea, or Japan and North Korea, Japan and Russia. Right? If you read history, people are staking claims for a certain piece of lands on Earth. Or it could be trade related. Now, today, the conflicts are more towards trade. It's about controlling the economy. And that they try to achieve using digital means. But there is also a very silent element which go unnoticed, where people do not talk about, is the human side of it. Look at these numbers. 20.1 million individuals are victims of forced labor globally. What's our population? What's the population of Sri Lanka? We are almost about 20, 21, 22 million. Almost the size of our population. That's the amount of people who are enslaved. Right? 4.8 million individuals are victims of sexual exploitation around the world. This is not necessarily women alone. There are men and there are children. And then we are talking about 41,000 odd individuals have, been contacted by, this is US statistics, right? So 41,000 people have contacted a hotline in 2018 saying that they need help. So ILO estimates 20 odd million, but of that only 40,000. What percentage are we looking at? And look at the numbers here, right? Look at the countries on the right-hand picture. It's worrying, isn't it? So of the 40 million we are talking about, 71%, almost 80%, right? The latest numbers are 80%, and 20% is male. And look at this one, 15.4 million people are forced into marriages. I don't think that kind of thing happens in Sri Lanka, but we don't know. It may not be mainstream news, but there could be forced marriages, right? But in certain countries, it happens so rampantly. And about 25% of the people are forced into labor. Look at these ones. I got some numbers by country. Right? Human trafficking. The value of human trafficking here is 32 billion. So again, remember the definition, people are being sold repeatedly. And now with the current economic turmoil, these numbers can be growing exponentially. That's the scariest part, and that's a worrying part. And look at these numbers, right? I mean, look at the numbers in Bangladesh. Look at 2.3 million in India, 140,000, 42,000 in Malaysia, and 150,000 plus in non-Japanese women. And then about 200,000 people in Eastern Europe. So the numbers in Eastern Europe can be growing exponentially right now. So if you look at these pretty old numbers, but it gives you a context to what we are actually talking about. So what does this mean? This is the fastest growing organized crime. Now, typically, when we talk about organized crime, we think of mafia, drugs, murder, but this is the fastest growing, right? And the third largest criminal enterprises in the world. How many countries are there in the world? 190 plus countries, right? 190 plus countries. Look at the numbers here, 167 countries. And 55% of trafficking victims are women and children. That's huge. On an average, age is about 12 to 14. Most vulnerable age, right? Here's another view in terms of the countries, top 10 countries. This is as of 2020. You can look at China, 2.5 million, 2.9 million. Then India is 14 million. Bangladesh, 343. Myanmar is 384. Thailand, 473. And then in South Africa, you have a few countries, Pakistan, 2.1 million, and this Ethiopia is 6.5 lakhs, and then Russia is about 5 lakhs. So this is only 10 countries of the 162. How does it happen? One is abduction. The other one is forced marriage. I mean, typically you see forced marriages in countries like Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, in such countries, right? And I'm sure it could be prevalent in countries like in South African continent as well, right? And then you see people are also kidnapped. People are kidnapped for various reasons. Do you know that if somebody knows your blood group, that you are also in danger, that you can be kidnapped? Because looking at your blood group, they can always do an analysis in terms of your organ compatibility, your kidneys and various other aspects. So people can be traveling and suddenly they can go missing, because somebody has actually targeted them and whisked them away. Right? And then you're looking at, that's selling organs, right? Look at the number, 72%. So your personal information, the way you protect your personal information is very, very important. And the information you share in the social media platform, the internet, is also very, very important. Because there's always a person who is watching to see who can be the next victim. So there's this story. I mean, this is an unverified story where this father takes his daughter to school, first day, kindergarten. So at the gate, he takes a selfie with the daughter and posts a picture in the social media platform saying, "My angel's first day at school." So usually kindergartens function for how many hours? 2-3 hours max. So he drops the kid, goes to work, comes back to pick the kid in school, can't find the kid. So before he could actually come, somebody actually saw the picture in the social media platform, picked up the kid, and put the kid up on sale on the internet. Right? I mean, some of these things I'm telling you might be probably worrying you a lot, but the intention is to create awareness. Right? You need to be aware, because when you're ignorant, then you or your friends or your family members can be a potential target. Right? Then, of course, violence. Now, let's shift our discussion to a social media platform. Now let's understand what happens in social media platforms. Now, I'm sure you have come across situations where you're trying to look for a hotel to go on a holiday with your family or with your friends. So what do? You Google, right? So let's say you want to go and stay with the cinnamon hotels down south. Let's say you want to go on a safari. So you're typing safari hotels down south. Have you ever noticed that when you log into your social media platform, be it Facebook, do you see ads appearing on the side? Things what you were looking for appear as adverts in your social media wall? Vanilla? I can see you nodding, right? Do you observe it? Right? So that means digitally, your activity is being monitored and tracked. And these service providers are able to give you that information. Right? The example I gave you is a genuine example, a reasonable example. You want to go on a holiday, somebody wants to get you the best deal for you. But there are also criminals watching, trying to see what you're doing. Looking at your profile, looking at your picture, they can always come and start a conversation with you. And in today's context, right? Today, if somebody comes and tells you, hey guys, when are you finishing your graduation? Okay, 6 months from now, you have a 1-year internship to do. I'm ready to give you a job, internship, fully paid, airfare in another country. How many of you will take it? I'm sure all of us will take it. So the need is felt, the need is immense. So a lot of time, what people do is they entice, saying, we will get you a visa, we'll get you into another country, we'll get you a better job, we'll get you a better living standards. And there's one case which I read where these people were offered jobs in a foreign country and they were taken in. So the deal was a very simple deal. You don't have to pay any commission until you go to the other side, start earning, and from your income, you can pay the commission. So let's say if they're getting a job for $2,000, the commission probably is $1,000. So now they take these people, fly them to the other country, and get them safely across into the country. The moment they land, they take them to their accommodation and lock them up. And then they tell them, they seize the passports, they take everything from them and then say, pay now. Pay now. If you do not pay, you will not be allowed to go. So they will force you. They will torture you. They will, terrorize the people and say, hey guys, we need the money. If you don't give the money, we will not let you go. But then they would say, the deal was that we pay after we start earning. But they would say, no, that was then. Now we need our money. They'll force them, get them to a difficult situation. They'll say, okay, call home, tell them to pay the money. And most of these people may not even have money at home to pay for their daily living expenses. And that's the point in which these people are forced into the sex trade. They'll be forced to go to the bar, dance, do all kinds of things. And in some cases, these people are even not given any food. So they'll starve them, they'll beat them, they'll harass them. And in some cases, they will even go to the extent of drugging them so that they will lose the ability to think on their own. Now, there's one case which I read where this lady who was harassed, who was tortured, who was made to work like a slave, and finally, she managed to escape. And after she escaped, the people who actually were controlling her started calling their family members and started threatening them. They started threatening this lady, saying, if you do not come back, we will kill your family members. And eventually, she went back. She went back and surrendered to these people. These are documented cases. Same thing happens to the men as well. Men are offered fantastic office jobs. They're taken to the other side and they're made to work in factories. They're made to work in farms. Right? They're made to work as labor. So the reasons which they will give is pay your commission now to get out of this. And once you're in, it's very, very difficult to get out. So you can see the kind of things what happens in the social media platforms. On the top, I have listed down the different platforms. On the left, the row wise, I have said the types of trafficking which people do. Not necessarily humans, there are other things also what people do. But I mean, in essence of time, I'm not going to go into each of these individually, but there's a lot of material in the internet where you can actually go search and find out for yourself, right? So social media platform is the ideal place to recruit innocent people. Some people would have the dreams to be a model or to dream to be earning lots of money, drive a Mercedes-Benz or BMW, wear that latest Apple Watch or carry the latest smartphone. And sometimes these little desires turn into greed and sometimes they can fall a victim. I've just given you some statistics here, right? I mean, case data from January to 2015. There were 845 potential victims recruited on internet platforms. 250 on Facebook, 220 on dating sites, 78 recruited in Instagram, and 489 recruited on another type of platforms. So what do we need to do? So we need to take precaution. We need to be aware what is around us. Not everything that glitters, everything that appears to be nice out there may not be really nice. It can be pretty dangerous, right? My intention, again, I want to qualify. My intention is not to incite fear. My intention is to create awareness for all of you, both men and women out there, to know that the world out there is dangerous, that not everybody out there is a friend. And sometimes we've come across cases where a friend can also become a villain to you. So you need to be careful who you confide your problems with. You need to be careful what you share with your friends, with strangers, with people who you do not know. It is important that you maintain a good relationship with your parents. They're the most trusted. Your siblings. No one else will stand with you in times of trouble. It's them. Right? Good or bad, I think you need to talk to them. If you do have a problem or challenge in talking to them, then you may have to then look at who's next. It can be your teachers. They're the next most trusted. Right? So you can make the judgment call. Or you reach out to people like, the Child Protection Authority, professionals in Child Protection Authority. You can reach out to them. Okay? So I'll pause here and ask you to post questions to me. I'll answer whatever questions comes my way to the best of my ability. Vanilla,
all right.
over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the informative explanation, sir. So now it's time for us to move into the Q&A session. So before we move into the Q&A session, I just wanted to make a reminder to our audience that the link to the Google form I mentioned earlier is available now in the chat box. Dear participants, you all can access the Google form through this link. And please make sure that you enter your name in the form of which you need it to appear in the certificate. Please do enter your personal email address, as we are going to email this e-certificate to you. So make sure that all of you fill out this form before the session ends. So do we have any questions?
Right, while people think of questions, I'd again like to reiterate, this is just an awareness session. Just be aware, right? Some of those things which I told you, you may be experiencing it, or you may know somebody who is going through that, right? Don't panic. Be strong. Right? Nobody has authority over your life. Nobody can take control of your life, right? Until you let loose. Right? There was a hand which went up. Naduni, do you want to ask a question? The hand disappeared. Ah, yeah. Is there a question for me? Can you please share the link again? That must be for you, Manila.
Yeah, it will be shared again by one of our members. If you all have any further clarifications to be made, please do direct your questions to us.
How does the underground economy impact the GDP of a country? Ravinder, very good question. How does it affect? An underground economy, right? I'm just going to go back into my slides to that particular slide here. When you have an underground economy, you will not have money in the mainstream supply chain. So you would have a lot of money being laundered. And those monies can be used against a country. It might become a national threat, or it can be used for antisocial activities. Because today, the governments need money to run the economy, right? The GDP. So when you have a parallel economy, that money is not available for everybody to use. It's only with select set of people. And whatever transactions happen through that never gets taxed. So the government will not be able to invest in developmental activities, may not be able to develop the human social elements. Right? So it affects big time, right? Let me also tell you the other side of it, right? So when organizations are affected by a cybercrime, right? Let's say it's a virus infection, or it could be even an identity theft due to a phishing campaign. The time spent in remediating is a loss to the company. The time is being spent. There's money being spent on that. And in some cases, they may also lose productive time. Or in some cases, they may also lose valuable information. When I say valuable information, people may steal your business plan and take that plan and set up a business, or use the plan to negotiate with you on the pricing, because they understand how your internal workings are done. I hope it answered your question, Ravinder. And what is the advantage of using the... Okay, Anugi, there is no advantage, right? I mean, it is a crime, right? Underground is a criminal activity because those activities are not legal, not legitimate. I mean, you would remember, right? When the Aragalia started, what did people actually say? They said, "Anonymous, please come help us." And then suddenly we started seeing a few hacking incidents. We would have also seen, right? There were videos which were being circulated, calling themselves anonymous. They are hackers, bad elements, antisocial. These people are unorganized. They don't have a leader, they don't have a structure. So they just attack anyone. And what did they do? They went and attacked the Ministry of Foreign Employment. They took the data and put it out on the internet. Whose information was that? Innocent people who have gone overseas to find employment and bring forex to the country. Did it help us? It didn't. Their identities could be used somewhere else for another criminal activity. So the dark web is predominantly used for antisocial or anti-government, anti-national activities and doesn't provide what you call productivity to an economy at all. But they may launder the money and bring it off in another form. But again, it is illegal, right? What questions do we have? Can you please share the link again? That is another thing. Okay. How can countries enforce new laws and regulations to crack down cyber crimes, especially human trafficking? Nadun, I'm glad you asked this question. Right? Cyber crimes, Sri Lanka, we do have a Cybercrime Act. We have a cyber security bill, which is yet to be passed by the parliament. We do have a Data Protection Act, which is in force now. But let me also ask you this. We have criminal laws in the country. Do we have a criminal law? We do have a criminal law. Does that mean there is no crime? People still break into houses, people rob, people kill, people steal. The law alone will not help. So you need to have a system to enforce the law. You also need to create awareness so the people are made aware the positives of the law, the do's and the don'ts. And today, when you see a traffic policeman in the junction, and if you're driving without a helmet, what would you do? Would you drive past him? You probably will stop, right? Because you know that he is going to stop you and issue a challan, or probably take you to the cop station. So we need to enforce the law. We need to ensure that it is done. And in order to do all these things, we need to have those structures in place. So I know ICT Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka CERT, and various other organizations, government agencies, the Ministry of IT, the President's Office, all of them are working together to build a safe and secure cyberspace. But we can't just leave it to them to do it. We also need to contribute. We also need to participate. We also need to become good citizens, cyber citizens. Right? So laws alone may not help. All of us will have to form part of it, and structures have to be in place to enforce the law. Right? Okay. And can you share with some measures and advices that we as young generation and as social media users can follow in order not to face for these cyber issues? Okay. Few things, right? Not in necessarily any specific order. First and foremost, check whether you know all the people who are in your social media platform. Before that, the question I would ask, do you know your neighbors? If you don't know your neighbors, I don't think you know all your friends in your Facebook. So be careful who you add as friends in Facebook. Some of them, our friends, may not even interact with you. If you've not met them physically, if you do not know them, do not add. That's the homework for you, right? You need to go back today and spend the weekend, clean it up. So be careful who you add as friend. So, and also limit access to third parties. Because sometimes people say, friends. Your friend's friend may not be your friend. There is no reason for that person to be a friend of yours.
right? Make those choices, make those calls, right? And ensure that your profile is protected, right? You do not disclose unwanted information about yourself. I came across a case during the lockdown, right? And this girl was intimidated, right? I mean, she was in the marketing team, and every time the phone rings, she would go into a stressful situation because people call and ask, unwanted things. Are you free now? What's your rate? Kind of stuff, right? So eventually, this particular incident was referred to me, and I had a conversation with her, and I asked, can you show me your social media, Facebook page or profile? I asked her, are you on any of the social media? She said she's on social media platform. And of course, she had the profile was open, one. Number two, some of these calls which were coming to her was also going to her mother. So somebody who knew her very well, knew her family very well, knew her mother very well, who had the number. So we had to narrow down the suspects. And then in the process, what we found was that she had celebrated her birthday about 3 weeks back. And there she had posted a picture with her mother with mother's Facebook profile link. Now the situation became a little complex for us because she has now given. And when we went to the mother's Facebook page, the mother's mobile number was visible to everybody on the internet. And this girl's profile also had her mobile phone, which was visible to the internet. So everybody were so we said, okay, lock it down, lock down the account. When I say lock down the account, restrict access. And then we had one disclaimer poster saying that the case has been handed over to the relevant authorities and being investigated. And that just died off. So like that, there's so many cases, right? So you need to be careful in terms of what you share in the social media platform. Right? Not everything you post will be liked by everybody. Right? Today, I think we are living in a time where we want to feel happy because you want number of likes. The life is driven by the number of likes. I have come across people who come back and say, I did some post, but nobody is liking it, and they get into a depressed state. So be conscious of that, right? And what are the reasons that the underground? What are the reasons? There are multiple reasons. One of the reasons, right? I'm just going to speak about one specific reason. People want to earn money in an illegal way, the quickest way. So they deceive people. So as long as people are going to be deceived, these people are going to exist. Now, not everybody can be deceived, and some people are genuinely in problems and they have a desire to get something. So they become victims. And another set of people, they're always greedy, they want more. And they also fall victim. Right? So it's a case of lack of awareness, which actually drives people to become victims. And therefore, the underground economy also grows, right? I mean, specifically speaking about human trafficking here, right? I'm not talking about, gun trade or drug trades here. I'm specifically referring to human trafficking. So when you show the map with countries with most human trafficking, I noticed that most of the countries are developing poor countries. What is the reason for that? That's your answer. Developing countries, poor countries. Now, today, when you watch a movie, right, be it a Sinhala movie, be it a Tamil movie, or be it a Hindi movie, what do they project? Glamour, a luxurious life, comfortable life. And if you look at the people who have and people who do not have, they're always wanting to make that money so that they can have a car, they can have a bike, they can wear, branded sunglasses, a gold chain. or even for that, mobile phones. And in today's context in Sri Lanka, bicycles, right? Bicycles are expensive. So it's the need which drives them, right? And so everybody wants it fast, easy, shortcut. Nobody wants to go through the grind. And even if people want to do the hard work, they may not get the opportunity. And so they all fall victims to it, right? And everybody is given a very, very rosy story saying, okay, I'll get you there. You can work there in that country. You can make a lot of money. And today, if somebody says, I'll give you $1,000 to work in a particular country, how many Sri Lankans will put their hands up and take it? They'll immediately take the calculator and say, hey, 365 rupees a dollar, I make 365,000 rupees a month. Here, the person may not be even able to make 10,000 rupees. So it's the need. It's the poverty which actually is driving people into this. So that's where I said, right? I mean, the governments also need money to sustain the societies, right? And they can only do that with taxpayers' money. So can we bring everybody to pay the taxes? Can everybody conduct business legally? So it's not you tick one box and everything will fall right or get into the right place. Today, the police department, right? I mean, if you talk to them, they actually collaborate with the countries. The intelligence, they work with other countries. They share information about various aspects. It's complex. What more? Do we have any more questions? Did I miss any?
No, sir, I think you have answered all the questions. And I assume there are no more questions from the audience. So I'm reminding y'all again that we will be keeping the Google form open for another 10 minutes after this session ends. So please make sure that you fill it out before the time exceeds. So I think we could cover a lot of area regarding the topic that we focused today. The web of profit, the underground economy, from the chapter 16 of UPSURGE webinar series. So I would like to make this an opportunity to thank Mr. Sujit Christie, the president of ISE Squared Colombo chapter, Sri Lanka, for sharing these important insights and for being a part of UPSURGE chapter 16. And also, I would like to thank all of you who joined today with us to share this knowledgeable experience. So we are planning to meet you all soon, another informative session of UPSURGE webinar series. So till then, stay safe and take care. I am Onel Mudalige signing off as your moderator for the day. Thank you so much.
Onela, thank you again. Before I let you go, thanks everyone for taking time for being here. So I hope the session was insightful to you. If you do have any questions or anything which you feel that you need to have a detailed conversation, I'll be more than happy to come back again and talk to you all, right? Or if you have an interest in the field of cybersecurity, I'll be more than happy to walk you through with the various certifications which are out there as well. So you don't have to be an IT professional to be a cybersecurity professional. So I look forward to collaborating with you in the future and take this time to wish you all the best. Take care and stay safe.